Hello, and welcome to round 28 of the TPO Rankings Show, a show about Australian football through the lens of the TPO Rankings. It's like the FIFA World Rankings, but for Australian football. I'm joined by a man who knew Bitcoin would be a thing before most people. Jake, how are you going this evening?
Good, Cody. I still don't know what the hell Bitcoin is, so I don't know about that. Blockchain, all the fun stuff.
Ill-informed.
Yeah, okay. Somebody's giving you the wrong information there, but I'll go with it.
So I should sell then?
Well, you know, if that were true, I'd probably have a few more dollars at least on paper than I do now, because I certainly didn't put my money where my mouth is. That's for sure.
All right, moving on, Jake. I'm pretty tired this evening. Back from a wedding this weekend, so yeah, it's Monday night, and we're recording now ahead of. But we've got a big show, so we'll try and get through it pretty quickly. And yeah, this week, Jake, we're talking again. Seems like we've done a lot of shows on the FFA Cup, but you know, it's hot to trot. It's exciting. It's sort of topical, and people love it. And we love it. So we're just going to talk about the 4 games on Wednesday night this week. But before we get into those, as always, we've got some games to preview, and at the end we also review. And then at the end, we've got some, I believe, just 3 games this week to preview ahead of the coming weekend, so non-FFA Cup games. But we start in Victoria. So we had the Green Gully versus Hume City. Now, the result was 2-2. It finished 2-2. It was a really important game there for sort of the relegation playoff. In terms of the Instagram stories voting, we predicted a Green Gully win. The supporters, 66%, also went Green Gully. So I guess we scrapped that one, Jake, as sort of we don't count. Instagram stories only give you the 2 choices, win or lose. So we can't pick a draw. So we'll just kind of scrap that in terms of the overall running tally. But in terms of the ladder, now it's getting with 1 game to go. It's really interesting. Green Gully are on, what are we on here? Points. 26 points. Hume City on 27 and South Melbourne on 28, all vying for that to not be in that last playoff spot there. It's going to go down to the wire, Jake. I think if we're looking at the games ahead this weekend, Green Gully have got Kingston City. You'd expect them, well, you wouldn't expect them, but they definitely should be not scared of picking up some points there. They obviously need to. Hume City got Pascoe Vale, and Pascoe Vale at home for that one, and South Melbourne are at home to Port Melbourne Sharks. Jake, quickly before we move on to the next game, who are you picking? Who do you think will finish in that third playoff relegation spot?
I guess Green Gully is probably the favourites just because that's where they are right now.
Yeah.
And the 3 games...
They need to win.
Well, the 3 teams you just mentioned, all 3 of them are playing somebody above them on the ladder, so easy beats. But of those teams, Kingston City maybe they're the lowest of them anyway, so maybe Green Gully have a chance there. I don't know. I can't see Hume getting up over Pascoe Vale, so I think if Green Gully can do it, can get a win over Kingston City, I think they'll be safe and it'll be Hume that go down. But if Green Gully lose, then obviously that'll be them done, or at least in the playoff.
And Green Gully got a much better goal difference than Hume. So if Green Gully draw and Hume City lose, it'll be Hume City that'll be playing off. So interesting stuff there. Anyway, let's move on. We got Tasmanian NPL and Devonport City versus Launceston City. Devonport wrapped up the premiership. So congratulations, Devonport, with 1 game to go. They're, I believe, 4 points clear of Hobart, South Hobart. So yeah, congratulations there with this win. Yeah, they won 3-0 against Launceston. Our system, the TPO rankings, it did predict a Devonport City win, and the supporters, 74% of you guys agreed. So yeah, not much really else to report on in that league with 1 game to go. So we'll move on. We'll move on to Jake's games, and we had Adelaide City versus Metro Stars in the, what would you call this, Jake?
The preliminary final?
Yeah, preliminary final. And we predicted an Adelaide City win. The supporters, 57%, so it was pretty close, predicted Adelaide City. And they got up 2-0. So they will meet Campbelltown City in the grand final this Saturday. I believe it's at 7 p.m. at Cooper Stadium. So that'll be a really interesting game. Yeah, the 2 best teams really from South Australia this year. 2 great clubs doing well on the rankings, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they'll be the first state NPL to wrap things up, which is, crazy, Jay. We're into week 28 of the show.
Feels like we're just getting started.
A little bit, yeah, in one sense. In another, I'm just like, it's been going on for a fair while. But we've still got a few rounds to go. Some, as we looked at, some NPLs have still got a round to go, I think, is a lot. And then obviously still finals. So we're still kicking on. And speaking of finals, Sydney Olympic versus Sydney United. This was another, what do they call this one? This was a major semi.
Yeah.
Major semi. They all have different names, all these things. And We predicted an Olympic win. Supporters, 76% also predicted Olympic, and they got up quite convincingly, Jake. 4-0 in the end, 3-0 at half-time, finished 4-0. So Sydney United do get that extra chance, and they play APIA after APIA spanked Rockdale 8-2 in the end. What a crazy result. I don't know what's going on there. I think Rockdale had 1 or 2 red cards as well.
I think they had a red card in the 7th minute in that game, which obviously
that's gonna hurt things.
Makes it tough.
Yeah, very tough. So yeah, Olympic march on to the final, which is on the 9th of September, Sunday the 9th. And they will play the winners of Sydney United and APIA Leichhardt. So that's going to be exciting game, and we're going to touch on APIA soon in some rankings movements because crazy stuff going on there, but you'll have to wait for that as we move on to the ACT. So this one what do they call this one, Jake? Major semi as well.
Semi, yeah.
So Canberra FC, Canberra Olympic replay of the last round or the catch-up round in the ACT where they were vying for top spot, and I think Canberra FC got one up on that previous week, but this week it was Canberra Olympics' turn. They got up 5-3 in the end here. We actually backed a Canberra FC win, and the supporters 52%, so it was very, very close, only a few votes in it, went for Olympic. And so, you guys get the point. We don't. Well done. So they march on, Canberra Olympic, straight to the grand final, which is played on the 8th, Saturday the 8th of September. And now it's Canberra FC versus Cooma Tigers playing off for a spot in that grand final. So I wouldn't be surprised if Canberra FC and Canberra Olympic play each other 3 times in a matter of weeks. But obviously next week, the 8th of September is the big one. So out of the 5 games, we scrapped 1 because of the draw, so 4 games. We got 3 out of 4, pretty good showing. But you guys, the supporters, 4 out of 4. Congratulations, pat on the back. That takes you guys to 54 on the running leaderboard, and we're on 59. So 5-point gap still, and there'll be 3 games at the end of this show to vote on, or over on Instagram actually. Now, Jake, give me a break here. Any movements in the rankings?
Yeah, there's a few that are worth mentioning this week, all right near the top of the ladder. And the first one, and I've got my APIA shirt on, so there's a reason for that, and it's a combination of the FFA Cup win that APIA had over Melbourne Victory through last week, and then obviously that 8-2 win that you just mentioned in the finals. The combination of those two things has seen APIA move up 2 places in the rankings. They are now ranked 7th. In the entire country, and the 2 teams that they jumped ahead of, Perth Glory and Brisbane Roar. So that's just insane. I probably even a month ago or 2 months ago, I would have looked at the gap between where APIA were and where Brisbane Roar were, just above them, and the gap was huge, and there was no way they were going to catch them, and here we are. So pretty insane. They're now ahead of Brisbane Roar, Perth Glory, Wellington Phoenix, and Central Coast Mariners. Bentley Greens, in terms of some of the other movements, have also jumped up a spot. They're ahead of Heidelberg now for the first time in a little while. I think they were at the start of the season, so they're back ahead of Heidelberg and ranked as the highest club in the Victorian NPL, and they are the 10th best club in the country right now. Sydney Olympic and Avondale FC have both moved up 3 places as well on the back of the results in the last 7 days, and that includes moving ahead of the Mariners. Both of those clubs, Adelaide City, have also moved ahead of the Mariners. So that's a number of teams, Cody, as you would have, as you'd be counting them along on your fingers there. Central Coast are now down to 16th. So lowest ranked A-League club, ranked 16th in the country. And obviously, as I mentioned, a number of clubs ahead of them. Lions FC are in 17th, right behind them, and it's very close. So a win in their semi-final this weekend could see them move ahead of the Mariners as well. So.
Well, they got an FFA Cup game too, Jake. So
yeah.
I tell you what, if they beat Adelaide,
that'll
week,
definitely.
I'm guarantee you they'll be well and truly gained some points.
Yep. And honestly, we're going to touch on those games in a minute. A loss in that FFA Cup game probably won't hurt them too much because they're expected to lose, as you say.
Sure.
So goal difference will come into it. Other movement: Edgeworth Eagles have dropped outside the top 25, and they've been basically taken over by Oakley Cannons, who have jumped in there. So, a lot of movement at the top, and a lot of it is to do with the FFA Cup at the moment, plus the fact that the finals games have a slightly bigger impact on the rankings than the regular league or regular season.
Cool. Yep, absolutely. All right, well, as you mentioned, Bentley ahead of Heidelberg now, but Heidelberg do have an important game on Wednesday, FFA Cup, so they win that, you would imagine. They are expected to win, but it's pretty even, so they win that, you'd expect them to jump back up above Bentley Greens. Although, Jake, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see, I guess. So that does lead into part 2 there, and that is the FFA Cup. We've got 4 games. I believe they're all kicking off at 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, three good games and one pretty boring standard game. But it's exciting in the fact that one A-League team is guaranteed to get kicked out. I'll kick things off with that game, Jake. I'll touch on this one and we'll go one for one. Yeah, we'll just touch on it here for those Melbourne City and Newcastle Jets fans. I mean, they are two of the better clubs in the country at the moment, so we'll pay their dues, pay their respects. Melbourne City ranked in at third on the TPO rankings, Newcastle in at fifth. So Melbourne at home go in as quite heavy favourites, 50% probability of winning compared to Jets 28%. They've both lost a few points recently, just probably... Jake, you'll maybe touch on that, mate. It's probably because of A-League, like Melbourne Victory losing, so all the A-League clubs dropped some points.
Yeah, and Wellington losing to Bentley Greens a few weeks ago.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so, yeah, it's still pre-season, still early days. This game, that's why I'm not that interested in the game. It's more of a pre-season, early days thing. And I'm more interested in the NPL clubs at this point in time. So, listen, that's pretty much all. We've touched on the probabilities there. I won't be paying much attention to this game, to be honest, apart from, excited to see one of these clubs get kicked out of the FFA Cup and move on to the NPL club. So, Jake, you take your pick out of the next three. Which one?
Cheers. Well, it's for me, it's a pretty obvious one. This is my game of the round and one that I'm really looking forward to. It's the Adelaide Comets and Heidelberg United. It's Adelaide Comets we've touched on throughout the season, had a really good year, and although they didn't finish at the top of the South Australian NPL, they had a big impact on it in those final three games of the regular season. They were playing the top sides and took points off all of them. From memory, Heidelberg United, we've gone on and on about them. They were the highest ranked non-A-League side for a long time this year, and only recently have fallen away a little bit. But obviously, as we mentioned there, the premiers in Victoria and one of the best sides in the country. They're ranked 11th at the moment, ahead of both Wellington Phoenix and Central Coast Mariners. Adelaide Comets ranked 27th. So, look, Comets will have the home advantage. Heidelberg will still be favourites, and we're giving them a 54% chance of winning to Adelaide Comets 25. But I don't know, Cody. This one, Heidelberg is certainly the favourites, and I think they'll do it. But I don't know. Let me put it this way: it won't surprise me if Adelaide Comets pull something out here and get a result.
I totally agree, Jake. I wouldn't be surprised either. And Heidelberg obviously got off to such a great start against Charlestown City, and then sort of it was much closer game for the remainder. And they've had a few losses in the last month or two that you go, wow, really? They lost that game? And I don't know, they might have injuries, might have been bad referee decisions. I don't know those things, but yeah, they are definitely open for a loss. So the one thing that I think favours them, Jake, is that Adelaide Comets haven't played a game probably in a few weeks. So,
yeah, you're right.
I'm guessing they've been training and they've probably had some practice games against some of the clubs. So I'm sure someone's probably been nice enough to stick their hands up to give them a game, but that could come to haunt them, I guess, or hurt them. So I'd probably be back in Heidelberg on this one, but they are travelling to Adelaide as well, so that'll be a good one. Jake, I'm gonna steal the Lions Adelaide game here. So that's played at Perry Park, where Striker's home ground. I think it's because of the lighting issues and the sort of the TV sort of angles.
Well, this one is the broadcast game or the game of the round from Fox Sports, so they have, I guess, different lighting requirements.
Well, this one's going to be a cracker. And Adelaide probably hate Perry Park. That's where Redlands knocked them out, 2 or 3 years ago in the FFA Cup after they won the league the year before. So
the biggest ever FFA Cup upset for those who have been debating it throughout the week after APIA beat Melbourne Victory. That is not the biggest upset. Redlands was. No debate.
Yeah, APIA are too highly ranked.
I think I agree. Anybody who thinks the APIA win was the biggest upset are underestimating the quality of APIA, I think.
Yeah, good shout there, Jake. Well, yeah, Lions are in form too, so geez, I would. Are you going to go to this game, Jake?
Yeah, I am going to try and get to this one. And I won't steal your stats here, Cody, but one thing that I saw was interesting as we kind of touch on some of the probabilities is the probability that Lions is going to get up, or that's as per the TPO algorithm, is about the same as what APIA was given to beat Victory. So it's actually pretty close, those numbers.
Cool. Well, no, that's good to know. And if you look at the graph at the bottom, at least we'll touch there first. Look at Lions. That year is just straight up. All year they've just been climbing. A few little dips there, a few little losses, but really they've killed it this year. They won the league by about 10 points or something in their first year in the NPL. They're just on fire. They're a great club. And they're on fire. They're heading into finals, I believe, this weekend in the Queensland NPL. So this game's just come at great time for them. Honestly, could not come at a better time. And I would not be surprised if they got the win here. And I really, really, really hope they do win. I'm not sure I'll be able to get to the game, Jake. Wednesday night, maybe I might be able to travel down. We'll see. But yeah, I'd love to watch. If not, I'll be watching on telly and barracking for them. So 19% probability of winning lines compared to 63 for Adelaide. But I'm going to put this one on Instagram stories, and I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if if people voted for Lions over Adelaide. Because that's a good reminder. I have to put this up on our FFA Cup tipping group, Jake. Yep. Probably tomorrow night. I reckon I'll be tipping Lions, if not a draw after extra time. So anyway, one more game, Jake, and that's Bonnyrigg and Western Sydney.
Yep. So I'll bring that one up now, and this is obviously a New South Wales derby of sorts. Probably a little bit less exciting once you look at some of the stats, just simply because Bonnyrigg not having a very good run of form at the moment. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games.
Yeah.
They're
second bottom.
Yeah, their season is done. Now that they're into the finals in New South Wales, Western Sydney obviously a pre-season, as you kind of touched on. Western Sydney are ranked 6th in the country at the moment. Bonnyrigg are down in 53rd, which is quite low for a New South Wales NPL side. That'd have to be one of the lowest, and if not the lowest, I'd have to check that one. And they're kind of slipping away as well as the season's gone on. They've kind of had their ups and downs if you look at the graph of their history. In terms of some of the percentages that we're predicting, we're giving Wanderers an 83% chance of winning, Bonnyrigg just 6%. So this one would be a very big upset if it were to turn out that way. I can't see it happening just based on form at the moment, but FFA Cup's a different beast, and also just to put it in context, going back to that FFA Cup, the biggest upsets discussion. Like I said, Bonnyrigg we've given 6%. When Redlands beat Adelaide United in 2016, they had a 3% chance. So that's why that's so clearly the biggest upset from a statistical point of view. But
sure.
I don't know, Cody, can you see Bonnyrigg getting anything out of this one?
Maybe, Jake, maybe, but probably not. I wouldn't be surprised these days. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if any team beats any team in the FFA Cup now. Like, even Cairns, only losing 2-1 to Sydney. It's just I wouldn't have predicted that.
Yeah, or Hellenic only just losing to
Western Sydney.
Western Sydney. So
I wouldn't be surprised at any results these days, especially being pre-season. But I would, if I had put my money on it, which I'm not going to, but it would be on Western Sydney.
Fair enough.
Okay, Jake, that's part 2 done. Part 3, we preview just 3 games this week. They're all yours because I've been too lazy to comment on it, and I'll probably just sit here and listen to you ramble on for a bit. So you've got 3 games. I'll just let you attack them, and if you want to ask me a question, go ahead. But otherwise, I'll keep quiet.
I think I picked the obvious games of the week, the finals games as well. Yeah. So I probably didn't leave you with a lot to go on, but
that's all right.
I'll dive in. First one, South Australian Grand Final that you mentioned before. Campbelltown City, Adelaide City. Grand Finals are exciting anyway, so it's kind of hard not to pick that. But, Campbelltown were premiers this year. Adelaide City have been close, though, pretty much the entire season, and they're still ranked as the highest or the best club in South Australia. Outside Adelaide United, obviously.
Yep.
The TPO algorithm really can't split these. So when we look at the percentages in this game, we've got Campbelltown City, as I said, as the lower-ranked club. They're ranked 18th. They've got a 38% chance of winning. Adelaide City are ranked 15th, and we've given them a 39% chance of winning. So very, very close. Probably don't need to talk about that one too much, but I'll be interested to see. If I was voting, I'd probably be looking at Campbelltown City, just simply because they've had such a great year. Premiers straight into the grand final at home, although not really, because I think they play the grand final at Coopers, but I'd be saying Campbelltown would probably be my favourite for that one, Cody.
Yep.
Next one is also in South Australia, the grand final of the second division there, which is the NPL State League, State League 1, and it's Adelaide Raiders versus Adelaide Blue Eagles. There's probably not a lot to say here either. They're 1v2 in the regular season. Adelaide Blue Eagles finished as the premiers and then lost in that kind of major semi and got the second chance and got through. pretty close here as well. In terms of the rankings, Adelaide Blue Eagles are one of the highest ranked third-tier clubs in the country. They're ranked as 59th. Raiders right behind them in 62nd. And our stats are actually based on form, giving Raiders a bit of an advantage, or maybe the slight favourites tag. 44% chance of winning. Blue Eagles, 34%. Again, if I was voting, I would have to look pretty closely at that and say maybe Blue Eagles are my tip. So, I don't know, Cody, what do you reckon?
Pretty close. Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue. Too close to split, and I'm guessing that game's probably the curtain raiser for the main game at Cooper's, Jake. They usually do that in South Australia, so I guess there's not really home and field advantage for the Raiders either. It's just a good game, and should be a good weekend down in South Australia.
Definitely. All right, last one, another finals game. It's a preliminary final, I think they call this one. Straight knockout. Winner goes through the grand final. Loser is done. And that's Sydney United versus APIA Leichhardt in New South Wales. Two of the strongest clubs this year in New South Wales and in the country at the moment. If United lose this one, they're done for the year. Their season's over. APIA, if they lose, their season's done. Aside from that FFA Cup game, the quarter final, that'll be in a few weeks, and they'd have to try and find a way to keep fit over that period. But yeah, I don't know. APIA. Part of the reason I'm wearing this shirt, the APIA shirt this week, Cody, is because they're ranked as 7th best country that I mentioned before. If they lose this, I can't see them staying in 7th. I'd say they'll probably drop back below at least Perth Glory, maybe Brisbane Roar. So this might be a 1 week little blip. And, I wanted to make sure I gave it the recognition it deserved. I don't know that we've seen a non-A-League club ranked that high. At least not this year, since we've been doing this show. So whether they can hold it, I mean, like I said, if they win this, then they'll keep moving up. There's a bit of a gap between them and the next club, which is Western Sydney. But who knows? If Western Sydney lose in the FFA Cup to Bonnyrigg and APIA get up here, you just never know what could happen.
That'd be crazy. Yeah. That's a good question, Jake, to ask. Maybe in the previous 4 or 5 years of data that we have at the moment. I wonder what the highest ranking in terms of points and in terms of the TPO rankings a non-A-League club has been. So that would be a good question.
That is a good question. That's probably a question that I should take with me and maybe answer next week.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. Okay, well, thanks, Jake. That's the show, guys. So we'll post those up on Instagram stories. I think we'll do all the FFA Cup games and all those 3 games Jake just ran through for your votes. That'll be a bit of fun. So that's actually 7 games in total. I'll try and get that done up for Tuesday night. We'll get this show a day earlier for the Wednesday night clash of the FFA Cup. So exciting stuff. Lots of footy to come. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the season. So if you'd like us to touch on anything, please let us know. Otherwise, Jake, anything else from you? I'm
going to leave a little question/teaser out there, Cody, because we've touched on it before. We're nearing the off-season, or at least from a grassroots point of view. We have talked about expanding the rankings further during the off-season, and that is still something that we are definitely looking at doing. And I would like for anybody who is still watching, if you have a league, a club, any of those that aren't in the rankings right now that you would like to see there, please let us know. Leave us a comment somewhere or shoot us a message on one of our socials and we'll look into it.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, please do. Otherwise, thanks very much for supporting the show, watching the show, listening to the show on podcast, wherever you're getting it. Really appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying it and have a good week. Enjoy the FFA Cup, and we will see you next week in round 29 of the TPO Rankings show. Jake, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Cody. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.